Howdy gamers, old gamer guy here. Welcome to another first hour impressions video. Memorial Day 2025 edition. I like to play a World War II game, or at least a relatively realistic military game right around Memorial Day weekend. And this year it is Company of Heroes. This game was on my radar for quite a while, but as luck would have it, it was on sale last week. Clearly I bought it, and clearly I liked it enough to make this video. The opening video of the game, I think, does a really good job portraying the game because it shows different types of military units cooperating to retake this town from the Germans, but of course it culminates in a nice bombing run. We start off with a tutorial that takes place in West Texas. No, actually, I think this is Northern Africa, but I'm going to skip past this tutorial. Spoiler alert, we are victorious in the tutorial. But I'm going to skip past this because most of this gameplay will be seen later in the video anyway. We've got single player, we've got multiplayer, we've got the Italian campaign, a Northern African operation. We've got skirmish mode, which I always like to see. It's always about the replay value. We have different difficulties for the battle and for the campaign, and I'll explain what that means a little bit later on. But after this weirdly long loading screen, let's take a look at what the cutscenes look like.
Dear Maggie, don't you worry about me though. It's a good group of guys I'm with. Pearson, Rogers, McKay. We all got each other's backs. Well, I guess it's nearly time to leave, so I better find somewhere to sit. I'll try to write more, if I can. Love always, Joe.
Nothing too spectacular, no motion capture or anything like that, but I think it'll do the job in a dry History Channel sort of a way. But never mind that. Let's get into our first battle, and you can see the visuals look pretty nice, and the animations of the individual soldiers are pretty good seemingly. I only have one unit to command here in the beginning. Pressing L2 when you have the unit selected will let you bring up this radial menu, and I can throw a frag grenade. There is a timer on the frag grenade, so I had to wait for that to allow me to do it again, and we're going to get a nice unexpected large explosion out of this.
Beach is clear! Bombardment incoming! Get your heads down! We did it. Long way to go before Jelazar's.
Selecting a unit will give you these basic controls. Pressing square will move the unit and they will fight along the way if they have to. Circle will make them attack a specific target, and triangle will make them retreat. Here is a situation where my unit should retreat, but they won't get the chance, unfortunately.
Did you hear that?
Let's advance! Italian flame tank! Run! Enemy tank! Hands up! Damn it! Oh, God damn it! Stand down!
Rifleman down! No survivors!
Oh, damn it! That's one of them! That was a hit! The Sherman tank's push! Falling behind! Push into the town square!
Holding X will allow you to select a group of units. Here I accidentally selected the tank as well. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm going to have my people move up over this way, and you know, despite my stupid tactics, all this looks really cool. Sometimes you have access to company and support abilities, which you access by hitting right on the digital pad, and that will bring up another radial menu. can almost smell my indecision as my people just stand there in the open, not moving until another company, an NPC company of friendlies, approaches from the side, and then I snapped out of my hypnosis and decided to help them out. But notice that I'm just using very, very basic controls. I'm not even trying to use the L2 command menu. I'm just moving them and having them shoot and watching the action play out in a very basic caveman sort of a way. But I'm having fun.
Keep your distance! Fight! Oh! Watch your flank! Relay order!
You can see some indicators popping up around that targeting reticle when you're moving your company. I think green means they will be in cover when they get to where they're going, and then if you see yellow, that means that they are exposed to enemy fire potentially. But never mind that, we just took this town.
Gel is secure, men!
We get another cutscene here. I can only fantasize about my military tactics leading to a display like this. My attacks are much more disorganized. That's why I'm not showing a lot of that footage in this video. But never mind that. At this point, we got to a part of the game that I was not expecting. I was expecting all of that real-time strategy stuff, but here we get to a part of the game where it is turn-based. We are more zoomed out on the map. I only have access to one company here. This is an Indian artillery unit, and if I go to attack these enemies, you can see that clearly we will get a victory. Like I said, this part of the game is turn-based, so the biggest challenge for me was remembering to hit triangle every so often to end my turn. But never mind that, let's capture a town. And capturing different types of towns will give you different types of bonuses. First, they want us to capture this little town here, which has a hospital in it. And the defenses of this town will allow the Indian artillery unit to capture this town all on their own. Controlling the town means controlling the hospital, so now I can bring an injured unit over here, and when it's nearby, I can bring up that L2 radial menu and heal my unit. Right here, though, my brain was not interpreting that very quickly. I'm playing at about 6:30 in the morning and my coffee hadn't kicked in. There we go. Now I healed my unit. Great job, Commander. But never mind that. We have a decision to make. We actually have two officers giving advice, a British guy and an American guy. The British guy wants us to capture this port over here, and I decided to listen to him. This port has two shields there. That means it has tougher defenses, so we're going to need some help to get through these defenses. We can bombard the town, but then we're going to have to move this ship and get some extra bombardment from this ship. So we can easily move over to this buoy, and then I can, because I have the ship selected, when I hit L2, I get its radial menu, and I can select the bombardment.
That should clear out any lingering German forces. We should now use our company to capture Tropia.
So now we're capturing Tropia. That will give us access to a port, which will allow us to requisition a new unit. The other town over there has a gas tank kind of an icon. The American commander wanted us to attack over there, and I think capturing that town will give us supplies. But right now, clicking on Tropia will allow us to access the Manage Support option in the radial menu, and that will allow us to requisition a U.S. airborne company. There is a cost, and then you can see our resources down there in the lower right-hand corner also.
Tropia is under Allied control, sir. Now we will be able to bring in more troops and ensure we have a firm grip on the region.
Yeah, I just said that. As you can tell, the British guy is feeling pretty good because I followed his advice, and all of that is tied to loyalty. This is another aspect of the game which I had not even heard of or read about, so this part surprised me. We have, at this point, 3 different sub-commanders, an American guy, the British guy, and then this Italian lady, who I think is the lady in the first video, in the opening video of the game. I think she is an Italian resistance leader, but never mind that. We now have access to some paratroopers, so now they can team up with the Indian artillery to take this town. Now we have another decision to make. There are some German troops on the run. We could pursue them up the road, or we could use our port to move one of our companies up the coast.
We only need 1 unit to hunt down that enemy company. Our other forces could do some good by securing those other towns. Understood. We'll send 1 company after the enemy troops, and use the rest to liberate nearby towns.
Following their advice affects their loyalty, and their loyalty affects the extra commands that you can issue and the extra things that they can do to help you out. But never mind that. We're going to use our artillery to bombard this town, and then we're going to use our boat to do a little extra bombardment. So that was turn number 9. So I'm skipping to the next turn, and now I can select my paratroopers and move them into the port, and then select the port and use that radial menu to transport some troops up the coast.
We've got eyes on that enemy company, and they're looking weak. We need to hit them now.
Time to work for Uncle Sam, boys. Make Uncle Sam proud.
So that German company is retreating, and I do have the option of pursuing them. At this point, the game tells you about terrain types. Different types of terrain affect your movement and your camouflage and all that. I could move my paratroopers into these woods and they would be camouflaged, but moving more slowly. If they were on the road, they would move faster, but they would be exposed. I decided to bring the paratroopers and the artillery over this way. So here is some thrilling, unedited footage of several different turns in a row. Try to contain your excitement as you watch this.
Yes, sir.
We are ready to carry out our orders.
We're up, men. Stand by.
We found the enemy.
Man, you really feel like you were right there in World War II with them. Never mind that. I'm skipping from turn 12 to turn 13, and look how long it takes to actually do this. I don't know what's going on in the background there, but man, the enemy take a long time to actually move. But never mind that. Let's continue our domination. Our companies are earning XP as they do this, or at least some kind of upgrade points, but I didn't really do anything with those in my hour and a half. I just kind of looked at that screen for about 10 to 15 seconds and then went back to playing.
Sir, the Navy are moving in to support us in our efforts to capture Catanzaro.
We get some help from an NPC ship giving us some extra bombardment, and now it's time to use our paratroopers to capture this town.
That's Catanzaro captured. The enemy is on the run, but there's no way we could catch up to the entire German army like this.
So there you go. There's a whole section of the game that I was not expecting, even though I've been wanting this game for a while. But never mind that. You can choose your campaign company at this point. So that implies at least a little bit more replay value. I always like good replay value. But never mind that. We are on our way to Rome. Our sub-commanders are weighing in with some opinions once again, and we have another decision to make. Should we start the landing, or should we start with some bombardment first?
That's the right call, Commander. Fire when you're ready, and we'll give those Germans a wake-up call they won't forget.
He was lobbying for bombardment, so he's happy that I chose to take his advice. But never mind that. This is pretty cool. I'm basically setting up my next mission here, as you will see. I have a choice of places that I could bombard, but we are about to invade Salerno, so I'm going to bombard over there.
All right, Clarence. We've softened them up for you.
So now I've softened up the enemies a little bit, and it's time to send in some troops for another beach landing. So now we're ready to start our next actual battle. You can see they are disorganized. I assume that's because of the bombardment, but they still have the capability of doing a bombing run. I don't think they actually did that, but they could have. But we are getting to the end of my first hour and a half of gameplay here. I'm starting the next mission, but I'm not going to show you very much of this. Here you can see I'm moving up these riflemen, and I can put these guys into some buildings here, which is cool. This reminds me of, what was that? There was a Tom Clancy game on PS3 that I played a lot that allowed you to put troops inside of buildings. I can't remember what that was called, but never mind that. You can see we have some regular riflemen, we have some scouts. You can see that the game wants me to use smoke grenades, but I'm completely ignoring that. And as a consequence, my troops are being shredded as they try to approach these buildings. I think you can see why I didn't show you very much actual tactical gameplay. But as usual with these first hour impressions videos, there's a lot of stuff you're not seeing. There are engineer companies, for example, that can cut through barbed wire and plant mines and repair vehicles and things like that. There you can see some guys getting shredded again.
zone is secure. Let's get set up. What? Someone grab the heavy machine gun. All right, men, listen up.
I guess I lied, and I did finish that mission, so sorry about that. But this mission, I'm not going to show you this entire mission because this one took me an hour and a half to do, and I got it done, but I was very sloppy. But mainly what I want you to see here is that I'm constructing a building. You can see that I'm having a hard time deciding how to place it, so this might explain that hour and a half a little bit. But never mind that. There are different types of buildings that give you access to different types of troops and vehicles and things like that. So, like I said, there's a lot in the game that you're not seeing because these are just my first hour impressions. But I do like the game. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Not sure what's next on the channel, but for now, as always, thanks for watching.